Okay, news has broken / been leaked of Stephen King's next book. It's called Never Flinch. It's coming out in 2025. Let's dive in to everything we know about it. Hi everyone, I'm Dave Musson. Welcome back to my channel. I'm at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. Now, check the links in the description to find my range of Stephen King themed band shirts, my own award-winning collection of short stories, link to my newsletter, all of those other things. But most of all, you're here for brand new Stephen King news, aren't you? So let's get into that right away, shall we? We have got confirmation via a post on Amazon today, as I record this, 21st of October 2024. We've got confirmation of Never Flinch. That's going to be the title of the next Stephen King novel. It's going to be dropping on the 27th of May 2025. It's going to be nearly 500 pages long, and yep, it's going to be Holly fracking Gibney. So in this video, I'm just going to share everything I've been able to find out about it so far. I'm going to author some thoughts on what's there, which isn't much, but there's enough to talk about, and I'd love to hear your comments on this as well. Are you excited for a new King book, and are you excited for a new Holly Stephen King book? Let's get into this, shall we? Here's everything we know so far about Never Flinch, the new book from Stephen King. Okay, so I'm recording this on Monday, 21st of October, and given what we know now, the somewhat cryptic tweet that King posted on Saturday just gone kind of makes sense now. So you may have seen it. He posted something along the lines of, it seems as though Holly, Barbara and Jerome are going to have at least one more encore. And I just took that as being, okay, we're going to get details of Always Holly soon, because that's the book that had been bandied around in a couple of interviews. And I also saw the at least one more encore and thought, okay, it's not going to be the final Holly book. He's going to make Holly his most returned to character. I saw that, lingered on it for a few moments, and then basically rolled my eyes and moved on with my life. And then this morning happened. So I was scrolling Instagram before I started work this morning and saw a post from Stephen King Club, who were sharing a link to an article from Lilja's Library. I'm never quite sure how to pronounce that, but it's a very excellent source of Stephen King news. And it just told us everything we know so far. So Lilja's Library had been very diligent. They clearly remembered the face of their father. They'd spotted a listing on Amazon UK of Never Flinch by Stephen King, a new book coming out on the 27th of May 2025. And that listing said that it was going to be 480 pages long, and it had a synopsis on there, which I will get to in a moment. But what was interesting straight away was the title, Never Flinch. And it seems as though Never Flinch is the title that has been chosen and has replaced not only Always Holly, which was what it was mentioned as being before, but also before that, it was going to be called We Think Not. So we've gone from We Think Not to Always Holly to Never Flinch. Never Flinch is absolutely, definitely the best title out of those three. And yeah, it seems like those other two titles are gone. And anything you heard before about either We Think Not or Always Holly is going to be worked into Never Flinch. Now, I mentioned that the Amazon listing had a synopsis. I'm not lying, it did. And I'm going to read it for you right now. See what you think. From master storyteller Stephen King comes an extraordinary new novel with intertwining storylines. One about a killer on a diabolical revenge mission, and another about a vigilante targeting a feminist celebrity speaker, featuring the beloved Holly Gibney and a dynamic new cast of characters. New characters. He's definitely gearing up for more Holly. When the Buckeye City Police Department receives a disturbing letter from a person threatening to kill 13 innocents and 1 guilty in an act of atonement for the needless death of an innocent man, Detective Izzy James has no idea what to think. Now, Izzy James, we meet in End of Watch. Are 14 citizens about to be slaughtered in an unhinged act of retribution? As the investigation unfolds, Izzy realizes that the letter writer is deadly serious, and she turns to her friend Holly Gibney for help. Meanwhile, controversial and outspoken women's rights activist Kate McKay is embarking on a multi-state lecture tour, drawing packed venues of both fans and detractors. Someone who vehemently opposes Kate's message of female empowerment is targeting her and disrupting her events. At first, no one is hurt, but the stalker is growing bolder, and Holly is hired to be Kate's bodyguard, a challenging task with a headstrong employer and a determined adversary driven by wrath and righteousness. Featuring a riveting cast of characters, both old and new, including world-famous gospel singer Sister Bessie, oh dear, and an unforgettable villain addicted to murder, these twinned narratives converge in a chilling and spectacular conclusion, a feat of storytelling only Stephen King could pull off. Thrilling, wildly fun, and outrageously engrossing, Never Flinch is one of King's richest and most propulsive novels. So that, so far, at the time of recording this on this Monday evening, is as much as we have. There's no official announcement yet, but that listing is there on Amazon and it's been spreading across the Stephen King sites on the internet. So in terms of a reaction to that synopsis, well, I'm always excited for new Stephen King. I'm a little less excited for another Holly Gibney book, but I will still read it. I mean, of course I'm still going to read it. And this one isn't as much of a shock because he's been talking about it, whether it was badged as We Think Not or Always Holly. I've just been waiting for details. I'm kind of surprised it's come this late in the year. I thought we would get more details earlier in the year. And spring seems to be about the right sort of time. It'll be about a year from You Like It Darker, so we would be due a new King book. And it being Holly is no surprise whatsoever. Mention You Like It Darker because that was excellent. And I'd kind of hoped that the reaction to that and just King going through the process of writing drama and horror again might have convinced him to try something different with his next novel. But he's clearly in love with Holly. You know, I'm not thrilled about him sort of tailing off his career as a crime writer, but he is still a good writer. And like I said, I will still read the story and I will still cover it for this channel. So some things I picked up on the synopsis. Interesting that King is going back to Izzy James from End of Watch. And there's also the mention of lots of new characters as well. So he's clearly building more stories here. And it's also interesting that Izzy and Holly are friends now. I can't remember how that ended up panning out at the end of Watch, but it's nice to see Holly functioning in society a bit more. That's good. Good for her. Now, having Holly hired as a bodyguard, that is a strange choice. And King mentioned that in one of his interviews about this previously, and I thought it was strange then. Like, she's a detective. Like a neurodivergent detective. That sounds very different from a bodyguard. So I'm intrigued to see how he makes that happen. I'm actually most interested in a couple of the new characters though. So let's start with Kate McKay, this female empowerment character. I'm particularly interested to see what sort of angle King lands on with this character. What sort of female empowerment? So is she going to be this kind of, I guess, a millennial female empowerment type thing? The sort of female empowerment that would annoy, let's say, Donald Trump and his most avid supporters. Or, and this is where I'm really interested, is this King's take on some of the nastier female activists, like J.K. Rowling? Basically, is Kate McKay Stephen King's version of J.K. Rowling in a story? Because if it's that, I am all here for it. And let's see how that pans out. Which one do you think it will be? Let me know. I'm also very curious about the villain. It's mentioned in the synopsis that this villain is terrifying and has a thirst for murder or whatever the wording was. But what it got me thinking is that in the Holly Gibney universe, his villains are where he really goes dark and nasty. We have Brady Hartsfield, and without spoilers, we have the villains in Holly. Both really, really evil beings. So this stalker that we're getting, I'm very interested to see how dark he goes with this particular bad person. Also, the description of having a female activist kind of made me think about Insomnia and Susan Day, the pro-abortion campaigner in that book. So I wonder if there'll be any crossover with that kind of stuff, maybe. I'm not thinking this will link into Insomnia and the Dark Tower or anything like that, but that was just the immediate connection I made. And I've talked before about how much I like Stephen King's writing from the 90s, where he's got women front and centre. So if he can capture some of that again in Never Flinch, then I'll be very excited to read it. We have that random inclusion of a gospel singer, Sister Bessie. Was it Bessie? I need to check now. Yeah, Sister Bessie, but sister is spelled S-I-S-T-A. I mean, sure, that's not going to be problematic at all, is it? Because these Holly books definitely don't have any previous examples of problematic writing about people who aren't white. Like, definitely not the Lowtown section in End of Watch, where they're playing hacky sack and all of that stuff. I mean, check out my interview with Scott Woods to hear more about that. But yeah, it's a shame because the last couple of books where King has had black characters, I felt like he has dealt with them really well. But Sister Bessie, I mean, hey, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he has improved a lot, but I'm nervous. Okay, I'm nervous. And the Gospels are just random. Like, how is that going to fit in? Remains to be seen. So overall, I'm obviously very, very excited to have another new Stephen King book to talk about. I think we're very lucky that he's still writing, and I've got pretty low expectations with it being a Holly Gibney book, but I do know that it'll be a well-written, coherent story that will probably hook me in from page one, and he might totally surprise me like Billy Summers. He might write a crime story that I really dig as well, so I'm excited to go into it. In terms of getting ready for it, some advice for all of you guys if you're excited about this, don't forget this is the Holly Gibney universe, and based on the previous books in this series, there will likely be spoilers for what has come before. So we will probably get references to the events in Holly. So obviously your best preparation will be to read Mr. Mercedes, then Finders Keepers, then End of Watch, then The Outsider, then If It Bleeds, and then Holly. If you're wanting to make sure you don't have anything spoiled for you at all. And of course, if you want to be fully on the backstory, those are the 6 you need to read. So this will be the 7th Holly book. And given what that tweet said, I think we'll be getting at least an 8th, which, there were 8 Dark Tower novels. So here we go. She's going to take over Roland. It's Stephen King. He can do what he wants. And I will still read it. Okay, there we go. That's everything we know so far about Never Flinch, the new book by Stephen King that's coming out in 2025, 27th of May to be precise. 480 pages of another Holly Gibney story. And judging by that tweet of the weekend, Barbara and Jerome are going to be in there as well. So familiar faces and lots of new ones as well. Let me know what you think. Are you excited about this? Do you like Holly Gibney? Are you excited to get more Holly? Are you excited about the prospect of this female feminist empowerment character? Do you think she's going to be, for want of a less judgment, do you think she's going to be a nice one, or do you think she's going to be like J.K. Rowling? Are you excited for the villain? I'm excited for the villain. Is Sister Bessie going to make us all cringe and just hide our faces with shame? Lots of questions. And they will be revealed next May. But that's everything we know so far. As and when we get more, I'll hop back here and share it with you. Let me know your thoughts about Never Flinch. Let me know if you're excited. Check out all the links to my stuff, blah, blah, blah. After we're done, thanks for watching. New King book coming next year. Awesome. That was a really crap way of ending, wasn't it? New King book coming next year. Cool. See you soon.